Welcome everyone to an episode of Trident Talks. I'm Josh, the director here at Trident, and in line with the theme of June, which is Armed Forces Month, I'm joined today by Gary. Gary's ex-military, and most recently, probably what, 7-9 years, you've been in the cybersecurity world. So welcome, Gary. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me, Josh. Great to be here.
Very welcome. So, Gary, tell us, what's your story? What's your background? What are you currently doing? Tell us more.
Sure. I guess when I was 18, a long time ago now it seems, I got my A-levels, didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I joined up. Didn't get a degree or anything. I joined up. Did 4 years with the Navy as a communications specialist, and then jumped ship, as it were, and joined the Army in the Intelligence Corps. I did HERIC 13, HERIC 14 as a COIST, one of the company operational intelligence people down on the ground with the Marines and the Royal Irish. And then when I finished that, I came back to Bulford, did some intelligence work just in the cells in Bulford, and then got into sort of information management within the Int Corps before then heading off into civilian world, I guess.
Why did you join the dark side? Why did you go from Navy to the Army? Why? Why would you do that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I guess I'd always been keen to. I was in the Army Cadets as a kid.
Yeah.
And I always liked the camouflage and the cam cream and getting in the dirt. So I just thought, I've done the Navy thing now. I've traveled to a lot of places that I haven't been to since, sadly. But yeah, I'd sort of done it. I'd seen it, and I thought, it's time to go and put the feet on the ground and see the other side of the coin, see what it's like on the front line. And,
be a real soldier and get
dirty.
That's
it.
Yeah. You regret it straight away when you have to start applying cam cream at 4 a.m.
Yeah, that's right.
yeah. So, okay, so left in 2013, is that right? I think.
Yeah, 2013.
Cool.
Seems like yesterday, also seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I know how you feel. So, okay, the last 9 years, what have you been up to? Bring us up to speed. Okay,
so I guess, we'll talk about that transition, right, from the military into civilian world. After the Int Corps, I reached out to a recruiter. He was ex-military as well, a bit like yourself, ex-military, started a recruitment company, and I met him. We got chatting, and he says, would you be interested in this type of work? And that type of work was in the kidnap and ransom world for a big insurance company, Willis. So I said, yeah, that sounds great. So we got CVs together, did a couple of interviews and stuff, and then that was it. I was off. And what was cool about that was I was with a load of ex-military people in a barn in Henley-on-Thames in a big ops center. So I got the civilian work, but I was still surrounded by loads of people that I could banter with. And it was sort of a nice sort of decompression from the military world, not like a hard stop. So that was really, really, really valuable. And if anybody else is thinking about doing a transition like that, I would recommend, go into a company that has military people in it, because you'll just come down a little bit more gently. So I did that, but that was a lot of shift work, quite intense. And I knew it wasn't going to last forever. And I knew even from when I was in the Intelligence Corps that cyber was where I wanted to be. But back then, 10 years ago, Christ, that seems like so long. 10 years ago, cyber was nowhere to be seen in the military. There was a couple of sergeants doing it somewhere in Chicksands, and that was it. Yeah. I just didn't really know how to learn. Where do I start in all this sort of stuff? I just figured, I should have got that degree at university, but I was wrong, and I kept digging. But I knew that my skills would naturally lend myself to like a risk role, because when you zoom out, ultimately what we're doing, even on the ground, even on Stag in Helmand, you're doing risk management. Yeah, you're identifying threats, looking at the vulnerabilities, and making a call. That's all it is, and you dress it up. So I started looking at risk management roles, and then I moved into Nationwide Building Society as a senior risk analyst. And that was great, because that was me fully in a normal civilian company now, doing normal civilian stuff. Made some great friends in there, lots of ex-military people at Nationwide too. And then we moved from Swindon up to where I am today, just outside Edinburgh. My wife took a job up here, and all this while, all through when I was at Nationwide, I was doing cyber certs. So I did CompTIA Security Plus, self-funded, just read it all myself. And I did my eLearn Security Junior Pen Testers qualification, which was great fun. First sort of taste of actually like hacking into computers and getting a certification, and then that allowed me to get my first job in CTI at Virgin. Well, it's Virgin Money, but it's Clydesdale Bank, really, behind the scenes.
Nice. And then
now I work for. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, sorry, it broke up. Then you found yourself in Singapore, right?
Yeah. So, this is where the human network really pays off. Like it sort of matters more who you work for than where you work, potentially, the people that you surround yourself with. My manager, when I was doing CTI at Virgin Money, I'll call it Virgin Money because people will know what that means. Yeah. It's the same company. He popped off to Credit Suisse, and I got a call eventually a little while later saying, would you be interested in doing what you do now, but in Singapore? So I packed the wife and the dog into the suitcase, and off we went to Singapore for nearly 2 years, which was intense as well, because the weather is intense out there.
Super
My
humid,
dog,
right?
You've seen Rami, he's a big fluffy golden doodle thing, so he struggled a little bit. But it was a great experience. But COVID sort of put a dampener on it because Singapore life and COVID don't marry well together.
No, small island, right? A far cry from your days in Bulford, to be finding yourself in Mandalay Bay. Yeah, I can imagine.
Just a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, cool. So, let's talk a bit about your resettlement. You said you had a softer landing than some people because you did join a company that was ex-military heavy and you're kind of surrounded by the same kind of culture, the people and stuff. But kind of take a step back. You hand your notice in, you've got 12 months to serve, right? For the main, right? I know you can get early release for some people, depending on what unit you're in and stuff like that, and your specialization. What was resettlement like for you, and what did you do through resettlement?
I didn't do it. I didn't do CTP. I didn't do any of it. I got on Google, I went on YouTube, and I looked at how to change career, and I sucked in all the information I could. I'm very much a self-starter, and that was it. And I guess because I had made a contact who was a recruiter and he was well connected, it just naturally worked out. That's my resettlement experience. I didn't do it, and I wouldn't recommend that to everyone. If you're out there and you're watching this and you think you might be a bit like me, you're like happy to stay up to 2 a.m. watching YouTube videos, taking notes, right? If you're that type of person, I imagine you'll be fine in the big bad world. But if you're unsure, nervous, and you don't teach yourself things well, then maybe resettlement would be the best thing to do. And I mean, it's a good thing to do anyway, even if you don't need it.
I agree. You got 12 months, right? So use it. What would be your advice? So let's say I've just clicked this. I've just done 7 clicks of freedom. I'm on cloud 9. Adrenaline's pumping. I've been umming and ahhing about it for years. And then I've always been drafted somewhere or something's held me back, right? But I've done it. What do I do now? Like what? Let's say I'll give you some examples. So Ink Core's the easy one, right? SIGs, especially if you're like 299 Squadron, easy. But let's go like I'm a logistics officer. What do I do? Like, how do I make that transition into cybersecurity? Because I've seen people, they're in cybersecurity. Half of the network and the industry, is ex-military and law enforcement. So again, familiar soft landing. What do I do?
I would work on LinkedIn, basically, and it all centers around LinkedIn. Build that personal brand. And when you start to build a personal brand, your CV will fall into that space, your photo will fall into that space, your banner, all your contacts. You need to stop thinking like a military person and start thinking like the person that you're going to be in 12 months. Do that as soon as possible, and just embrace it. And it's not an easy thing to do, to completely switch from one thing to the other. You know, I do cyber intel and I used to do intel. So if I meet the right hiring manager, I'll be able to convince them that I'm the right person for the job. And that's exactly what happened. But if you're an RLC officer and you want to get into running cyber ops, I would definitely like reach out to the community and say, hey, I'm an RLC officer and I'm really interested in cybersecurity. And the people that will comment underneath, the value that they will add will be incredible. You just see it all the time on LinkedIn. And, you know, picking up those pointers. But yeah, that personal brand, you know, a complete LinkedIn profile, a good CV that translates well. If you're trying to get into cyber, don't talk about how you restocked the toilet roll in the loos in Bastion. Just forget about that. Because in the military, we do so many things. Even, you know, in the IMCOR, carrying my typewriter around the battlefield, you know, I was doing stag duty, I was doing first aid, I was doing the tactical questioning. Like I did so many things, but so many of them just aren't relevant and they don't need to be sort of part of that experience anymore. Just ditch them from the CV and really focus on the things that are translatable into the cyber world. And then obviously there's the whole upskilling, learning the cyber lingo. What courses are you going to do? Unfortunately, CompTIA, Security Plus, A Plus, and Net Plus are all provided by CTP. They're all in there. So you could do all those baseline qualifications first, which are really good. They are really good qualifications before you then try and figure out what do I want to specialize in within cyber.
I think that's all very valuable advice. We'll come back to the brand and the kind of personal reputation on LinkedIn in a second. I think again, you get contacts by a lot of people, right? A lot of people leaving, service leavers, resettlement, etc. We get the biggest kind of sticking point we face at the moment, or we face with people that contact us, is, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know. I just want to work in cybersecurity. I know it's a really cool industry, full of people that I know, friends, colleagues. I don't know what area. So going in and doing those CompTIA baseline, A plus, Network plus, Sec plus, in kind of almost that order, right, in terms of level of difficulty, gives you that baseline knowledge of, actually, when I did Network plus, I really like looking at IP addresses, subnet masks, or I really like the more, I don't know, the risk element of when I did a CISMP, very basic foundational course. Then it's kind of then will pull to what, or you'll be drawn to what you like. Do you have conversations with people who just kind of say, I don't know what I want to do, but I know I want to be in the industry?
Yeah, I have those. I mean, I have these types of conversations pretty much every day, all day. There's always messages in my LinkedIn waiting to be responded to. And I try and get back to everybody where I can. But like time constraints, you know, I got a kid and a dog and job. So it adds up. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. That baseline, and then trying to cherry pick what it is that you want to do, because you won't know what you want to do until you actually see the cold face, see what it looks like, you know. You kind of just have to get in there, you know, and get amongst it. I mean, there are websites where you can go and see like all the different types of cyber jobs that you can do. You know, the UK Cyber Security Council, they have a sort of interactive website that you can click on and go through it. I'm sure Trident, I'm sure you guys have some sort of guide that covers different types of roles. I mean, a lot of the people, I mean, me, for example, you know, I remember watching Hackers with Johnny Lee Miller and Angelina Jolie, the movie back in the day.
That's before my time.
That movie. Come on, Josh, I see a few grays there. You know, that was a great film. I love the soundtrack. That always stuck in my mind. Like, and that probably, you know, kicked me into that mindset of like, oh, hacking's cool, you know. So I've always been drawn to do it. I don't have any CTI qualifications. I don't have the SANS GCTI because I don't need it. I've got Intel experience and I know how to hack because I've done my OSCP. That's enough, you know. It's about weaving the picture and telling that story, you know, pull from your past, cherry pick, add new things into the mix, and then just go for it, you know.
Absolutely. Talk to us about Switchfire, a company you set up. What is Switchfire? What's it about? What's the plan?
Yeah, so Switchfire is a course that I'm just finishing at the moment, actually. Basically, you know, I've been wanting to give back. I get a lot of questions on LinkedIn already. How do I get into cyber? I've been addressing those on just a random basis, doing calls with people and things to talk about it. But I'd like to be able to scale that up. People seem to get good value out of having these chats with me. I hope I'm giving them good advice. I believe I am, because it's based on my experience, and I've it's a path that I've walked. So Switchfire is just the culmination of that, really. I put a little website together that you can get to from my LinkedIn, and it's sort of all covered there. There's a free guide called Rapid Fire that people can download, and it gives you some pointers as to where to get started in the cyberspace. The link to that UK Cybersecurity Council website's on there as well if people are interested in that. And then Switchfire is just a big online, it's kind of like a paid version of YouTube. You pay a very, very small fee, get access to, you know, nearly 2 hours of my time where I go through the whole gambit of like how I got to where I am. I give you all the tools to do it, databases and templates and things like that. Talk about personal brand, CV, it's all in there. So
awesome.
Yeah, that's what Switchfire is.
I think there needs to be something like that, like Switchfire, that can broadcast the same message that you have individually with people, but on a larger scale, right? It's a platform where, because if I'm someone leaving and I'm in resettlement, I'm reaching out to LinkedIn as I'm getting directed and being told to do that's the right thing. I could be waiting for days and weeks for people to respond to me, right? Because we are all busy, we all have jobs, we need to make a living, and we're not being rude or ignoring people, but it's just that's reality, right?
It's just really hard. Exactly. And you know, I didn't initially, I was like, maybe I just do this for free and make like a free course, but that doesn't scale either, that approach. And like, some people want more, some people want a little bit less, some people don't need that much help. I was speaking to someone this morning and they have, you know, a cyber degree and they know what courses they want to do. They just wanted some reassurance around salary. So I was like, I'll just have a chat with this person. I don't need to send them links to my things on the internet. I'll just have that chat. But I think it's all about like having different things for different people in different frames of mind. If someone wants to sit down and essentially hear from me for a long period of time because they think that would be good, that option's there. If they want a little free guide, that option's there. If they want to book a one-to-one, they can do that. But as you say, we're all time poor, and it's you have to prioritize, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the longer term plan? Have you got? Are you there yet in regards to Switchfire? Like, what's the mission of it? Where do you want it? Where do you want that kind of platform this time next year? Have you got an idea?
I think so. The course is, you can pre-order it now. It'll go live pretty soon, probably within the next 2 months. I would imagine 30 days from now, it'll be fully like ready and people will be going through it and I'll be getting feedback. Once I get that feedback, I'll just keep adding to the course, modifying the course. It's sort of alive. Once you're in, you've got lifetime access to it. So there's no extra costs. And people get all those updates. But I mean, I thought about this, where could something like this go in the future? And that's kind of a good civilian trait to have. You know, in the military, you kind of wait to be told where to go next. In civilian world, you kind of need to look over the horizon all the time. So I had thought about this and I was like, you know, I've pivoted through a few things now, and all my career journeys have all been pretty well linked together, from the military into risk, into cyber. So maybe I could do a course on the pivot, how to get someone who has no experience in any of this stuff into cyber or into any career potentially. But I think I might pull some experts, people like yourself and other career people, into that mix, just to widen that, you know, that breadth of knowledge. But we'll see, right? Watch this space.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting, isn't it? Because is there a proven model / kind of methodology, or that the same principles can be applied from me to go from zero to CISO to whatever the pathway looks like, not just in cyber, but could I go from zero to something in, I don't know, chefs or driving, but use the same principles the whole way there?
I think there are. I do. Yeah. I genuinely think there are, and I cover some of that in my course. I have this thing that I call the HR bypass, because I hate HR systems. You know, this is what will happen, right? Someone will be watching this and they'll be kicking themselves in the foot because they just applied for a job 2 minutes ago via a website. So you've gone to some company's website, you've clicked apply up. You went to upload your CV and it made you type it all in manually. So you're wasting your time typing it in manually. It gets to HR at the other end. Someone looks at it who's just an HR person, they just filter it out. Yeah, because it's missing one thing, or a piece of software filters it out because it's missing one thing that the job description was really nailed on.
Yep.
If you just go to the hiring manager somehow, through social networking and being friendly and talk to people, you can bypass all of that, have the conversation with the person you're going to be working for. They'll arrange the interview. They'll tell HR, yeah, I'm going to meet this guy or this girl. And that's it. You've bypassed HR completely. You're not being blocked by those systems. I've had it in the past. And if you go on LinkedIn, 19 applicants, 77 applicants, 200 applicants, SOC analyst. Why would I click easy apply on LinkedIn if it's just going to go into a big system where it's all filled? I'm not going to win, right? I'm not going to win against some grad who has already done one SOC analyst job. So it's a waste of time, really. Yeah, so I do think there is a few techniques that you can apply that are universal. Human to human relationships win above all else.
Yep, absolutely. Very good piece of advice. So if we could, let's say, for example, this is TLDR. I've fast forward right to the end. What is give us kind of like one little nugget to take away from this. If there's only one thing that you could tell somebody who's watching this, who's in that resettlement phase, is there anything that kind of springs to mind immediately that's almost at the top of the list?
Top of the list, I would honestly say master LinkedIn. As just a high level thing, there's a lot to unpack under that. But if you go on Google and type in how to be amazing at LinkedIn, and you do all those things, you probably will be in a better position to get a job, because you'll read blogs, YouTube videos, you'll see, maybe the odd post by me giving advice. You'll be in that mindset, I need to master LinkedIn. And if you do that, you'll probably be fine. But if you mark and avoid it, if you say, I'm not going to bother with that, that's just social media, bad idea.
Yeah, you must have a very strong human network if you're not going to be on LinkedIn. And it all starts on social media, unfortunately. Totally agree. Where can we find you? Where can we contact you? We'll put the Switchfire link here as well. I don't do the YouTube kind of thing at the bottom. Click like, subscribe. That's not going to happen. But we'll put a link in, right? LinkedIn is the obvious one. Find you.
Yeah, LinkedIn. If anybody's watching this and you have any questions, just hit me up on LinkedIn. I may send you to my little free PDF. I may say you might be best served with this random YouTube video. I'll just help you out genuinely. This isn't a sales pitch or anything. That's not the point. The point is to help people, right? Yeah,
totally agree. Gary, thank you very much for your time. It's been great speaking to you.
Great hearing your story, to see you, Josh.
Your journey, and hopefully we'll see Switchfire on the likes of LinkedIn talked about a little bit more. And if it helps one more person extra every day that we can't actually have a video or a phone call with because we're all time poor, then job done, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the hope. Awesome.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Great, Josh. Speak soon.